I hope you are having fun as you are working through the Free Motion Mastery in a Month book by Ranae Merrill. Today, on day 13, page 57, it tells you the things to do to practice as we are learning free motion quilting. Don't forget to refer to Ranae Merrill's quilting yoga video for C curves. And here I'm going to show you some of the tracing I have done today. Please refer to the tracing sheet on page 121 and make sure that you are tracing the C curves for today. This is the C curve daisy, and as you can see, I'm using the training tool to practice doing the shapes. And I want to tell you, I think this really does make a difference. Drawing these shapes and using the master training tool, that right there is the caterpillar. So that one's a little more challenging for me than most of the curves. The next one is the clamshell on page 121. Be sure to read some more information about that. This is just free motion clamshells. You can use a ruler for this, and I'll show you that in just a moment. But starting out, just free motion with it and have fun. You can mark straight lines to help it be more symmetrical. So in the book, it talks about that you could use the master trainer to make clamshells. And this may be something you want to try later after you've done them free-handed. But here is the little scoop, the little shell part. You would have to use a different foot for this. This is the regular free motion foot that I'm using for my machine. Notice that the little part here is flat, right there. But when you're using a ruler for quilting, like if I was using this ruler, I would need to use this foot because see this thickness here? This is called more of a ruler free motion foot. See the difference? So this thickness here is what will go up against the ruler. All right? So it looks like these clamshells would be really close together, but if you notice when I put this ruler foot, it fits right there. The needle will be right in the middle of that. It's not going to be all the way here. It's going to be in the middle of this free motion foot. So your free motion foot will go around the scallops like this to make the clamshells. I've actually used a larger ruler to do clamshells, and I'm going to share that with you now. Here is a quilt where I used the clamshell, and I actually used a ruler, so I wanted to share with you that. Now, this is not something you might want to start now. This may be something that once you kind of get the hang of free motion quilting that you introduce. So here is the ruler that I use. It is a Sewing by Sarah ruler, and as you can see, if I place this right here, you can see where I sewed the clamshells. It's not perfect. This does have I did one day broke it. This was another time I was using it. So I really want to replace that because once you crack it like that, it's not gonna work as well. But I really do like this size of clamshell for this quilt. Notice I could have used this side also. It does have some markings back here that helps it grip. This ruler is not as thick as the ruler from Free Motion Quilting Mastery in a Month. So if you notice the thickness between them, and so there are different types of rulers for free motion and you can look at the different thicknesses and see how they'll work. But this might be fun to try later after you get a little bit better hang of free motion quilting. But you just go all the way across and go back and forth. I started at the bottom and went up. This quilt pattern is actually a pattern by Suzy Quilts, and I really enjoyed making this quilt. Here's another color. It's just lots of different colors. And then I have continued with the sewing. So today we are labeling a number 4 block. If you look on page 57, it tells us to do this. And here you will see a C-curve daisy. So I started here and went around and around. And so this right here is the C-curve. This was the next day. So I've already worked that. I'll talk more about that later. But here's the C-curve. The C-curve daisy. So it's a lot of fun to do. And so on the C curve daisy, when you're doing some curves, you're going to turn your speed up just a little bit and just try to keep it going. So you have this curve. When I stop in odd places, the curve is not as clear. All right, so now let's look at block 2. With block 2, we are filling in the caterpillar. So this is the caterpillar. There's a string. I did 2 rows of caterpillars. I started here at the bottom and just keep going all the way up. Now, one of the things that I realized later that might have been helpful is to draw 2 lines. If you want to, draw 2 lines with an erasable marker, and then that way you can keep it a little more straight as you do your caterpillar. But that's a fun one to do. I had lots of fun with it. And then on block 3, you know, this is what I had already added. And so here are our clamshells. So let's look at it like this. So I started here and I sewed this way. Now keep in mind, if you're doing clamshells, there are different ways you could turn it. You could even turn it this way and go this, you know, vertical instead of horizontal. But I had a lot of fun with the clamshells. So there they are. And this is all free motion. I did not draw any lines. Of course, you could draw lines and make them more symmetrical and have a more equal number of amount between each clamshell. So this is day 13. I hope you have fun. Now we're moving on to day 14, and the information for that is on page 58. So I will show you some of the tracing I did. Be sure to read the pages that it calls for, do that quilting yoga, and continue tracing. Here is some of the tracing I did for day 14. So today we're focusing on quilting circles. So I'm doing stir the pot here, then I'm doing string the pearls. So be sure to look on page 127 on how to go about doing that. Then I am going to be drawing the pebbles and read about the suspension bridge and how that works. So you can see I had a little mistake there, so I started over. This is one I'm having to keep practicing to get a feel for how it works. Then I'm using the Free Motion Mastery Trainer ruler to go over the shapes. You can also use these on the tracing sheets that have been provided. Now I'm telling you, this does make a difference, so be sure that you're not skipping these little steps along the way. All right, and after you have done your tracing, you'll start with some quilting, and this is block 5. We're doing 1/3 of the block. Of course, you divide it up any way you want. So I didn't even draw a line for this one. I just know, okay, I'm gonna do this column here, and this is stir the pot circles. If you look closely, you can see where I have drawn circles. And so I got a bottle or something that I traced around, and I spaced them out. And then I started about a 1/2 inch away and just went in circles around and around and around. And then I would start this way. Ranae Merrill talks about trying to change it up and do some counterclockwise and some clockwise. I realized that I did better with the clockwise than I did with the counterclockwise. And so I think I only did one counterclockwise, and that's this one. Notice it is not as symmetrical. I'll turn it over and you can see. But I really like the way the variegated's looking with these circles. You can also, she talks about going back in and adding smaller circles in between. So I may do that later. All right, and so now that brings us back to block number 3. So here is block number 3. The string of pearls is what I did first. So I had done the clamshell, then I came here and did the string of pearls. I started here, go around, up, down, around, up. So notice what I'm learning is I cannot see really well with this white thread when I'm wearing my contacts. I have multifocal contacts, and I actually see better up close without the multifocal contacts. So when I'm quilting, I have learned I need to take my contacts out so I can see. See here, it's not lined up perfectly, but not bad for the first time. Now remember, on circles, you do want to speed the speed up just a little bit, because you're keeping it going and you're moving kind of fast. This is called the pebbles. And so, of course, I'm sewing on this side. So I started here and then did the pebbles across. And so that's lots of fun. I do like, again, the way the variegated's looking with the pebbles. And that brings us to block number 4. And with number 4, we are filling in this section, the next section. So I'm kind of dividing this one at angles. So 1 section, 2 sections, and then we'll have 3, which the third section is pretty large. And we can fill it in with any other circle design. So here you can see I just did the circles going around like that. And so that's a lot of fun. So this is just stippling with circles. So you just start and keep going and making these circles. So lots of fun. I do want to work on making my circles more uniform and more circular. And so for like, well, this was a little smaller. I'd rather it be more uniform to the size of the others. So that is something I'm going to work on. So it's lots of fun. I hope you have fun. I feel like we really have gotten into the fun of our free motion mastery in a month. So I hope that you have a great day as you are working, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye, everybody.